Let's talk about the weekend as a whole, split weekend, some good things, and kind of what did you take away from the weekend as a whole?
Well, we won our first set in about 2 weeks, and so that was a little bit of a relief. You're just seeing carryover the stuff we're working on in the gym, and it's, I think the hardest thing for the athletes to understand is patience, right? You live in a world where information is at your fingertips and everything is instant gratification. The grind of a season sometimes can be a challenge just mentally. And so, going through the stats and saying, yeah, the stats aren't exactly where we want them to be, but they're better than they were, I think is helpful for them to see. Also, we got kind of kicked around those last 2 sets against Grand Valley, so there was no misidentifying where we're at. We still have a lot to work on, a lot to get better at. So I think it accomplished a lot of things. Do we want to win every match? Yeah, I wanted to beat Grand Valley, but we didn't. And so what are we learning from that moment? A big thing is our block and defense just still is not there. And so yesterday we watched film, we got in the gym, we did a lot of blocking, we made some changes to our scheme to try to help them. And we saw a lot of carryover from what we trained to when we played at the end of practice. And so big takeaways is it's nice to win. It feels a lot better winning. And when you do lose, you gotta identify those areas that you struggled and continue to get better at. So, yeah.
You talked about not winning a set for a while. How much do you guys start pressing, and how much is that in the back of their mind as you go into a match?
You hope it's not there. You don't talk about it while it's happening, obviously, because we try really hard to just focus on be the best versions of ourselves, right? And not letting the scoreboard or the other team impact how we're feeling, how we're responding. You make adjustments against the team. There's no doubt. I mean, but they're not dumb, right? Like, they see what's happening. We went all that last weekend without winning a set. So they feel that, and that does rattle your confidence a little bit, but it's amazing. It's amazing. We talk a lot about, you'll be watching a set and watching our team compete, and then you have this feeling inside of you, like, oh, they're confident right now. Right? And the fact that you can have that feeling and lose that feeling tells you we're not there yet, right? You should have a consistent feeling of no matter what the score is that you can compete. And so, yeah, I think they were rattled a little bit. And then I think winning that first set against Davenport was a little bit of a sigh of relief. Now, we let our foot off the gas in the 3rd and 4th set against them. But again, they showed our resiliency and bouncing back in that 5th set and taking that win. And I thought we had confidence in the first 2 sets against Grand Valley. Again, got rattled, so we have to learn how to not only come out with that confidence, but regardless of what's happening, ups and downs throughout a set or a match, not letting that be rattled. And that's kind of our next phase of development. And it's oftentimes a sign of youth on the floor, right? And so you just have to learn as young players, you're at a higher level, teams are good, they're going to keep coming at you. Where in high school, teams might roll over when they're getting beat. Teams here don't do that. And so, and we're just continually working on that.
And Coach, you were speaking to youth, but was it kind of a relief and a good thing to see Jacqueline Smith back out on the floor?
Yeah, come on. I mean, she was an All-American, and her first match of the year was a great match. I think everybody felt it, from the coaching staff to the athletes. She has been a staple of our team. And not just in her performance, but in her leadership. She has grown tremendously. And actually, when she was out of the matches, I had texted her, thanking her for her leadership off the floor. She's demanding more of her athletes. She's there for them. She's pushing them. And we didn't have any woe is me when she wasn't there. But man, when she was there, it felt a lot better having her out there. You could just feel a sense of relief from the team having her play. And she's not at 100% right now. She's not playing her best volleyball. But again, it's not just about her execution. It's about her leadership, the maturity she brings onto the floor. And so, yeah, it felt great. And we're going to continue her rehab and getting her stronger and bigger and faster. And we're going to be cautious with her during the week just to make sure she's ready to go Friday and Saturday. Because she is an important piece. And then, Evan Lashock has been sidelined for a while as well. She had a really great first tournament. And, she's slowly coming back. And so once we get both of those players back in the mix, it's just going to make a huge difference from a performance standpoint, but more importantly from that leadership on the floor. We're looking forward to that.
And then, Coach, just your thoughts on the matches coming up this weekend and what you guys have to do to be on the winning side?
Yeah, so we go to Purdue Northwest on Friday. They're 2-0. They beat Saginaw and Wayne State, both in 4. They're leading the league by a pretty wide margin in aces per set, which means they serve really tough. So we've been really trying to focus and hone in our serve receive for that. And quite honestly, Purdue Northwest has been kind of hanging out in the basement of the GLIAC in volleyball for a while, and their coach Sean has done a nice job of changing the culture in that program, new energy, a lot of youth on the floor, and they're too naive to understand that their program has been in the bottom, and they're just out there playing free, and they're happy, and that's amazing what can happen when you have a team playing free. And so we got to be ready for them. And I talked to the team yesterday and said, do not take anybody lightly, especially this team, because they're doing some great things. And then Parkside on Saturday, really good start to their season. I think they split last weekend, a win over Saginaw, then a loss to Fair State. I don't really know where they're at. We're just starting to watch film on them and prepare for them, and so they have some new faces as well. I know they have someone in the middle who's been really good for them, and again, their coach Lee, I have a ton of respect for, and I think she's going to have them ready to go. And it's always tough to play at that gym. So our primary focus is ourselves, though, right? Like, we talked at the end of practice yesterday, and it's, I said to him, I know you guys want to be the best you can be on September 18th. Said, but we got to focus on like November 11th, which is I think our last conference match. And if we're better then than we are now, then we've succeeded. So we just got to kind of keep chipping away and not let results of any set, any point, any match dictate our feelings about the progress we're making and kind of that grind we're on. And I showed him a clip of Dan Campbell, Lions coach. He did at Hard Knocks. He gave us speech. At the end, he said, when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's actually a freight train, and you just got to put your head down and get to work. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is like, don't be focused or fixated on what's ahead of you. Just focus on the present in this moment and put your head down and go to work. And we did that yesterday. We're planning our practice today to kind of drive home that same point of like, if we're getting better, we're doing our job, and do not let the results dictate it. We have the talent that if we do our job at the end of the season, we'll be playing really good.
How do you take what you guys learned in your non-conference schedule and playing the last one over in Minnesota and all the tough teams that you played? Yeah, you're in the GLIAC, but what did you take away from that where you can implement in the season for the GLIAC and get better as your guys' season goes on?
Yeah, the big thing is especially in Duluth, 3 of the teams we played are ranked in the top 15. In my opinion, all 3 should be in the top 10. And so when we played Davenport, like, we knew if Davenport played their best, we have already played that team in Duluth, right? Same with Grand Valley. Now, we did not answer the bell in the 3rd and 4th set, but we weren't shocked by what they did. We just didn't answer the bell. We weren't ready to perform. And you hope that as you go throughout the season, this weekend, neither of those teams are playing as well as Central Washington is, right? And so we shouldn't be shocked by anything any team does, because we've seen, in my opinion, some of the best volleyball that's happening in the country we've competed against. And so it's honestly the biggest thing that I took away from that weekend was we have to learn how to be confident regardless of how the match is going. And we talk all the time about that, about letting other teams dictate how we feel about ourselves and not letting that happen, because when every match ends, right? Like Saturday ended, what happened? Grand Valley got on the bus and went back to Grand Rapids, right? We stayed here, and so we have to focus on ourselves and how we're responding and not being rattled by what other teams are able to do or not do in any given situation. Just focus on, I'll say it again, keeping our head down and just continuing to grind through points. And I think our bench, our non-starting group, has done a tremendous job providing that energy. And now it's up to our players on the floor who say they want to do things the right way to really buy into that philosophy. And so that weekend was tough, but ultimately the hope is that by the end of the season, that experience is paying off in a huge way.